Welcome to the Season DFS Mega Demo. I'm going to be showing you all the core features at a relatively rapid pace so you know what to expect, what to get excited about, and ultimately be able to make a judgment if this is something that fits for you. Let's get into it by visiting seasondfs.com as a starting point. So, this platform is a blend of two things. We're talking about a traditional fantasy football league as one half, and the other is specifically the DFS format. And it's important to understand this format and what I mean by that, because if you don't like it after learning about it, then shut the video down, exit the platform. You are not going to like the rest of it because it's all based on this format. But if you do like it, I might just change your life with this video because it can be a very fun way to play fantasy football. I think the best way to get started is by getting straight into the demo. And this is something that you can do yourself if you're more hands on by going to demo.seasondfs.com. So let's take a look at how to build a lineup. This is the core thing of the entire platform and format. So you can see on the screen, I have on the right side this empty looking lineup structure. In the middle, I have a player list. And the key differentiating bit is that there are these $ numbers indicating that there's some kind of cost for every player. And you can see for this lineup, I have $50,000. So, how this works is that every week, everybody in your league puts together what's called a DFS lineup. And it's this salary cap structure. So, you have to fill out this lineup structure based on your league settings. But the one we're looking at here is one quarterback, two running backs, and so on. And you have $50,000 to spend across that whole lineup. So it's about $5,500 per slot on average. And you can see every player has a cost associated to them. So I could get into all of the different strategies that come into this, but honestly, you probably don't want to listen to me because I'm not very good at it. I keep trying to put good lineups together, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I haven't quite cracked the code yet, but that's what makes it fun. Every week is a new challenge and a new way to try to come up with the best possible outcome. Also, on the format, I'll just say that there is no draft at the beginning of the year. There's no roster that you own certain players. There's no trades and waivers and just those sort of things that come from a regular fantasy league. That's what makes this platform different in the format. It's all about just putting together a lineup every week. So the demo is going to go pretty quick. We're going to cover some ground, but you'll get a pretty good idea that the platform itself tries to help you get the view that you like and gives you a bunch of different little toggle options and how you want to display and view things and fun stats to look at. But in the end, the only thing you actually have to do to participate is put a lineup together every week. So let's start doing that. So we can see, I'm just going to kind of go top down, but that's just how I'm going to do it in this demo. You can go in whatever order you want. So let's go quickly through this. Imagine I'm painstakingly trying to come up with a lineup here like I would in real life. But you can see I can just go through the list here. And as I fill out the lineup, the site is telling me, here's your progress so far. You've spent about half your budget and you have 5 players left. Here's how much you have left. And let's just keep it going. So down the line we go, figure out how to allocate my money. And we can see what's happening here is kind of squeezing myself towards the end, not too much, but if I go into this last flex spot, I have $4,900 left. So if I choose flex, the site knows to just give me the flex available players, but you start to see things like this. I can't afford everybody. And if you could always afford everybody, you would just pick all the best players and there wouldn't be that much strategy involved. But that is not the case. So I am way over budget if I pick JSN. So we can't do that. Let's get him back out of there. I got to scroll all the way down to find some players I can actually afford. So this 4,900 and below, that's where I should be living. And speaking of different toggles and things, maybe I don't even want to see those players I can't add at all. That's just an option you have. Maybe you want to hide players with zero projection, probably means they're injured or otherwise not going to play for some reason. Or we could look at specific games if we want. Maybe that's how we want to make the judgment for how we have to decide this last player or any player really. Maybe there's bad weather or some of these games are going to be a barn burner so you want to get in on that action, or you can view depth charts as well and that'll help you make a call. So if I'm hiding players, then they're not all going to show. If I'm not hiding them, you can see the ones I can't afford, and you can still swap those in because maybe I see somebody and I want to add them and then I need to go swap somebody else. So again, the site, now that I click the receiver to replace, it automatically switches it to just the receiver view. So we're going somebody random there. And this is how you put a lineup together. So you could do it in about a minute, 2 minutes, or, be like me and spend forever and still do a pretty bad job of putting a lineup together. Okay, so that's the lineup feature. And the rest of it, like I said, you don't even have to look at these things, but it's kind of fun. So let's check it out. So first, here's your league switcher. So in the demo, there's 3 different leagues you can look at. And the thing I want to say here is that when you create a league, it's either going to be a head to head or a points league. So head to head is where you have a matchup every week versus one other player. And you get a win or a loss, or I guess a tie, based on how you do against that one other player. A points league is where you're not really competing week to week against somebody specific. You're just trying to put the best lineup you can together. And then across the whole season, your total amount of points is what drives the standings. So this, what we're looking at now, is a head-to-head league. So if I'm on my homepage, I can see that I haven't submitted a lineup yet. Here's my matchup. As we go through the pages, you'll see that you/me, whoever's viewing the demo, you are assuming the position of leader of the Garden Mammoths, which honestly is a terrible name, but it's system generated. So we just got to deal with it for the demo. Hopefully, you'll come up with something more exciting for your own team. But again, with some fun stats for you here. So this team is currently ranked 5th. There's 13 teams in this league. Another fun fact about this platform is that it supports odd numbers, even in a head to head league. It can, if you have 48 friends or people you want to play with, there's no reason you couldn't have a huge league like that because there's no single player draft. It's everybody just drafting or creating their lineup from the same available player pool. In theory, you could submit the same exact lineup as somebody else, but there's so many different strategies and variables and not enough money to go around that it's pretty rare that something like that happens. Okay, so like I said, this is a head-to-head league. I'm 6-4. I'm 1 game back from the leader. I've never scored the highest in a week, which this is another thing that I recommend that you do in your leagues is reward teams for scoring the highest total in any given week. And back on the homepage here, no more league members quitting by week 5. This platform and this format is really about keeping people engaged for the whole season because that is more fun for everybody. And because there's no draft and season ending injuries that make it so that people start throwing in the towel, especially even when, let's say, you're later in the season and you haven't been doing so hot, maybe you're in last place. If your league still rewards every weekly high with some kind of, you know, whatever your prize is, then there's always an incentive for people to submit a lineup and keep playing because you don't want to be in second place and the first place team is going against the guy that already quit. That's no fun. We don't like to do that. We want to keep people engaged the whole time. And in this format, there's new life every week, keeps it exciting. There's always a chance for glory and plenty of misery if you're me. Okay, so let's continue around. So here's standings for your league. Again, this is a head-to-head league. So the standings are based on your winning percentage and your record, but there's some other stats here too. You can see everybody's best and worst week. Again, those high weeks, how many of those that each team has, and it highlights, the most. We have analytics, which again, more fun stuff here. Never have to look at it, but it's a good way to see how you're doing, how you compare it to the rest of the league. I could do a deeper video on all of these different options, but just clicking through some things, you can see how data is a big part of this platform. Here's my favorite view, the score grid. So every week assigns a gradient of basically good and bad based on how you did. So if I'm sorting each week, you can see the gradient scale there getting highlighted. Or again, we're the garden mammoths. If I just want to put us at the top of the list, I can do that. And I can see how we've done week to week. It was just another fun view of seeing the progress and how you're doing week to week. A more detailed view here. Here's the matchups. So this is a head-to-head league, like I said. So you can go back week to week and see results. Here's some more toggles of different things you can do. So maybe you want to see some more options of the actual game results, the salary, the percent owned across the league. Maybe you want to hide the players that are shared on both lineups. So it really just narrows it down to who is unique in these. So let's do that. And you can see a couple players were shared this week, and we just got them out of the view. There's an entire NFL scoreboard that will show you as many stats as you want to see, except for kickers. We just hid kickers altogether because you can't have any format, even if you customize your league structure. Kickers aren't a part of it. Sorry about it. If you love kickers, they're not here. But otherwise, you can see the touchdowns. Another fun thing is that you could filter the entire scoreboard down to just players that at least somebody in your league played. So this is probably not as relevant in head-to-head leagues and a lot more relevant in points leagues, but still fun to see, hey, who else is allocating their money in a similar way to me or totally different? Again, just another way to look at the information. Other simple views here of an NFL schedule, which can either view the whole thing or just your league's specific game groups. So the Sunday early and Sunday afternoon, this is, what's considered the main slate in the DFS world. And that's how this league is configured. You can see some more depth charts, this time without the salary numbers because we're outside of the lineup creation view. And you can view NFL player stats all the way through. Maybe you want to see league leaders and just the top 3 for each of them. Again, just a different way to view different stats, information for players, for your league. Keeps things interesting. And this is going to wrap up our demo here. I hope you enjoyed it, learned something new. Go try it out yourself at demo.seasondfs.com, or if you're already ready to sign up, seasondfs.com, and go pick your league, customize it the way you want. Have a good time. We'll see you later.